Welcome to Beyond the Transaction, a podcast focused on payments for the ISV and FinTech world. I'm your host, Todd Linden, and I'm CEO of Woodforest Acceptance Solutions. Each week, I'll sit down with leaders across payments and financial technology to unpack how real businesses scale through better data, smarter infrastructure, and aligned partnerships. If you care about how payments actually impact growth, you're in the right place. Today, on Beyond the Transaction, I have a familiar face to most of our friends and for anybody in the audience who doesn't know us, but I have the honor of having the Woodforest Acceptance Solutions CFO, my longtime CFO and partner in crime, Giovanni Diano. Thank you, Gio, for joining me. I know that when I get you out of the office, I usually try to do it on a golf course, and today, it's far different. So, but I appreciate you taking time and talking to me today. We're going to talk about something that our company has been focused on. Our business plan, to great extent, is centered around, and that is kind of the problem that no one talks about, which is data. Finance data in particular. You and I have worked hard over the years on many different platforms, and unfortunately, I think that much of the time we worked harder to just get to the data so that we could use it for a variety of purposes, but it was we were exhausted by the time we got to it, and so I thought that today it would be good for the audience to understand what that means, what our approach to the not only getting to the data, but having the data, using to the data, and why it's a problem. We talk all the time about the fact that it's our responsibility as a payment processor to be able to provide that data back to our partners and back to our customers and back to their customers and to the merchants in order for them to do everything from finance to marketing to, all sorts of, strategic initiatives that they have. And you've been with me on that journey.
Absolutely. So yeah, first of all, thank you for having me here and getting me out of the office. It's a nice little break, but it has been a career goal of mine to get clean and easy to use data in our industry. A lot of you listening to this are likely very familiar with the type of data that we like to pursue. And for those of you that aren't, in the payments industry, you don't get one record of data a month, you get millions. You get millions, just the multiplication effect of all the customers, the merchant customers that you have, multiplied by the number of ways you can qualify a transaction, process a transaction, bill a transaction. So it quickly multiplies into millions of records of data. And it's a struggle. It's a struggle to get good data in a timely manner that we can easily analyze, and we can talk a little bit later about what that means. But it's a struggle to get good, clean data.
Yeah, and not only that, but Gio, we've talked for now, especially in what we're doing with ISVs and channel partners and big merchants, enterprise merchants, just getting our data so that we can help them with their payment performance, seeing,
right,
how the authorization network is performing and where we can use data to optimize routing. It's been a struggle, and now to finally have a platform. And when we talk about platform, we're talking about our Switch to Issuer platform for you, those
right,
of you in the audience,
right,
because that's where these advantages are availed. But anyway, that it's so much easier and so much better for everyone in the ecosystem when we can do more with the data. But I want to really talk today a lot about, and the team that you've built so far. I mean, the fact that your finance team in particular, that we now have the talent and the data
Right.
to use this data as an absolute finance data as an advantage. The finance team, the FP&A group that you have in our company is a competitive advantage to us and to our customers. And I don't know. That's why I really wanted you to join me today, because I want to talk about that.
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, the ongoing quest for clean data. In the old days, when I say old days, I'm talking about potentially even a few years ago. Right. It wasn't uncommon to receive data in a bunch of different files, different formats, even mainframe-based data files, Microsoft Access. I mean, for those of you that have ever messed with that, you want to pull all your hair out. Which I have no, and so it is refreshing to be on a new platform with our switch to Issuer, where our data is a little more complete and it's a little easier to use, and we're just a lot closer to the actual transaction and can see qualification data. We can see a lot of components of the authorization in a nice, easy to use format. So it just makes our ability to analyze the data and make some sense out of it a whole lot easier. And to go back to your point about the team that we have built around the anticipation of having better data, has really worked out well for us. So we don't see the accounting and finance functions as a burden to the company, where I think a lot of other companies just do see that as just overhead. So just like a necessary evil that you have to have. We don't see it that way. And we have decided to grow that, those departments in a way that we can use it as a strategic advantage, not just for us, but also for our strategic partners, our referral partners. And so the way that we think about our accounting and finance function is, very strategic to our decision making. So even physically, we have everyone sitting next to CFO and the CEO.
That's a good point. We don't bury those. We don't bury the FP&A people in the back office. We always have them, near us, and they're always privy to strategy conversations up front. But you made me think for a minute there. And this might sound crazy, but I wonder how many prospective channel partners, whether they be ISOs, ISVs, community banks, anybody who is looking for a processing partner, a true partner. I wonder how many times they go, hey, I want to talk a lot about accessibility to data for the purposes of financial reporting, for the purposes of understanding how my merchants are performing on payments, or how good is your finance staff? They're always asking about residuals. They want to know that somebody's back there, what kind of residual system you have. But before you even get to a residual payment, you got to have merchant performance, right?
That's right. I'm always amazed at just when I have initial discussions with our prospective referral partners, that the discussion mainly circles around the economics of our profit sharing and little things, but never really about the strength of our back office, our finance department, and then the quality of the data, which again I think we're very proud of what we've built here, because the problem is, yeah, great, you want to know about economics. I think any deal that you do with any partner, you want to know ultimately what's the bottom line. But yeah, it's all out there, but what they don't realize, what prospective referral partners don't realize, is after the fact, after the ink is dry, you shake hands and have a nice dinner. It can make your life miserable if you don't have the right processing partner, the right bank partner. You need someone that is sophisticated, that can help you through the journey, and can provide good data to keep you closer to the transaction and really help you understand your business and help your customers as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. You know, what we're talking about here, all of you out there, we're not talking about data in the context of, repurposing data to sell to marketing companies or any of that stuff. We're talking about data for performance. We're not even really talking about any personal data at all, identifiable data, or whatever the new acronym is for sensitive data. We're talking about understanding performance metrics for how merchants are doing. We're talking about data to help the merchant understand their own story, and that's so interesting. But so let's put all the financial reporting aside. Let's put the performance metrics aside, because that's how we're going to win business, because it's based on the merits of how good we do from a processing performance perspective. But our marketing team gets really tired of me talking about this all the time, but I say we occupy, the payment processor occupies a giant space in the life and times of a merchant. If you accept payments, your merchant payment provider provides or occupies an enormous part of your business. Yet, they fulfill so little. They process the payment, they send you a bill, you pay the bill, hopefully they put the money in your account correctly, and they do all those things the right way, but it kind of ends there. Data, business intelligence, for the purposes of giving you back your own data, giving the merchant customer back their data, so that they can make not only their own financial reporting decisions, so they can really see how they're doing, how their transactions are qualifying, but so that they can use it to find out how they're performing as a business. And then taking that one step further and helping them deliver information to their marketing partners so that they can use it to attract more customers, to understand what products are selling and what's not selling, what they need, what pairs together better. It's a story. It's an ongoing story. I talk about an authorization is part of a story. You look back a year back, and that transaction for $100 might be worth $1 million. If in aggregate total, it tells you what was really working well back then, and we departed from that strategy, and now we're not doing as well as we did a year ago. We should be the ones that tell them that. And that's even beyond being able to use our switch to issuer partners, again, in a non-identifiable customer way. I want to keep saying that because we're going to have everybody's ears and eyes all over this thing. But giving them back benchmarking data that says, in your space, Mr. Merchant, in your type of business, in your geography, if the answer is you're happy with what you're doing here, is the next step to go out and show them other places where those same circumstances exist, so that they can open up a new location or they can go somewhere and expand their business. That, to me, is an obligation that you and I both know that we should be fulfilling. you're the most data-driven CFO I know in the business, and I don't mind plugging you. I think all of our friends out there know that was coming anyway. I mean, besides the haircut club that we both enjoy, but tell me about that. I mean, where's your head, and how are we going to, when is the time going to come where that's going to become something that the merchants require?
Yeah. Well, so you think about who we're targeting as our partners. It's software, software companies that want to be closer to the payment experience. So software as a service is the name of the game now, and so being linked to payments is the obvious growth for these companies, and we can provide a home for those companies. Well, but you don't want to just stop there. You don't want to just say, oh, it's easier to process a transaction. Because again, we have the payments data, and a lot of our merchant customers, they either don't accept cash or just cash is such a small part of their overall transactions that the payment data, the credit and debit and other electronic forms of payment are so valuable now. So what do you do with it? Well, I think we are just scratching the surface. So number one, you got to have clean data, and we can provide that. Number two, we can help analyze the data, so really help in understanding profitability, whether transactions are qualifying correctly, whether they're routing correctly. So we can provide a lot of that expertise. But as a software company that's a partner of ours, having that data, you can do a lot of that additional analytics and provide value to your merchant customers just as well. So if you have clean data, like you mentioned earlier, just doing, just year-over-year analysis, trending analysis, comparing that data to, weather, for example. I mean, there's feeds for weather history that, why did a restaurant do better, this day versus another day? Well, the weather was better. So just having that ability to correlate payment data to something else are there any new events that have been happening in that particular region? There's endless amount of analysis that you can do, and I think a lot of software companies are so focused on developing the software that provides the engine for their customers that they're not thinking necessarily ahead with what else they can do with payments. And I'll tell you, it's difficult. There's a lot of data, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast. It's large volumes of data. You almost need, not only very analytical people, but almost like, statisticians.
And you built a team to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. ISVs, the embedded banking software companies out there and platform companies, they're out there, as they should be, focused on helping the business vertical that they serve run more efficiently. And that's why, we've been so adamant about, if you choose us, our value proposition is infinite. We're going to keep going. We're not going to provide you a processing opportunity and in ownership in the payments, participation in the payments, whatever the outcome that is routinely sought after in the ISV world with us. But to make I think that we do such a good job, but we have to continue to do a better job of just letting our partners know that we're going to grow with them. We're going to push their growth, and not by doing the things they do, by enhancing what they do, right? And taking it beyond daily operations into strategic growth initiatives. And it's just, it's fascinating. Well, listen, I thank you for doing that. I mean, for coming out and taking time today. I just think it's really important for our customers, our friends and neighbors out there in the industry to really understand from your perspective, Gio, not only what you've built inside our company, but how our team collectively is building this and addressing this problem with data.
Right.
It's really good. Thank you a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
To learn more about the topics we discussed today, or to explore more about how modern payment infrastructure can support your business, visit toddlinden.com or woodforestpay.com. Thanks for spending time with us on Beyond the Transaction.